Hello everyone and welcome to the first battle report for the channel. So we've got Iron Warriors versus Necrons today. I've done the collection focus for the Iron Warriors, so you'll see a lot of units you've seen in that already. And we're against Necrons, which I've just done, so it's just come out. So if you haven't seen that, if you pop over to the channel after, I'll give you some background and tactica as to why I've got these different units. So John's come down today for a game, long-time friend. He's going to be taking over the Necrons. He's working on his own armies, but he's not quite finished yet. So soon enough, we all getting Space Wolves, maybe even Custodes, maybe even Tyranids potentially. So there's quite a lot coming, so that's going to be really cool. But today he's going to use my Necrons. It's both our first games of 8th, so there will be probably a few mistakes in there, but we'll try and keep them to a minimum. We've both read the rule book, read the indexes, etc., so we have a general idea of what's going on. We're playing mission 1 of the Eternal War, which I believe is called Retrieval Mission. So it's just 4 standard objectives that we have on the board. We have one here in the Bastion, we have one here, and we have one there next to the Satan, and one in the bunker here. We're playing Dawn of War deployment as well, so standard kind of deployment. So I'm just going to go through my army, and then John will go through his. Okay, so it's my Iron Warriors first. So we have Huron Blackheart, or Huron Ironheart as I like to call him. It's his 12th Grand Company, so we have him in the middle but using Huron's rules. We have a Warpsmith, just basic as he comes. And we have a Chaos Lord with Power Fist and Plasma Pistol. For troops, we've got 3 troops, just running the minimum because I like the heavy supports for the Iron Warriors, that's what they're all about. And also, to be honest, is kind of points restrictions as well. So we've got 3 5-man squads of Chaos Space Marines. We've got 4 bolt guns and a heavy bolter. We've got we've got 2 bolt guns, a plasma gun, and then we've got 2 combat weapons, but they will be using bolt guns today. And we have actually got a combat unit as well with a melter gun, plasma pistol, power fist, and 3 close combat weapons and chainswords. Those guys are going to be going in the Rhino on the end. We've got 3 obliterators. I'm quite interested to use these guys because one of the mainstays of the previous edition, but their weapons have changed now, so you have less flexibility. So it'll be interesting to see if they're as good as they used to be. We've got 2 Vindicators, one on this end and one on that end. Definitely looking forward to using them. Very Iron Warrior, and actually could be far better in this edition with no immobilization, no weapon destroyed, no crew stun, shaken, things like that, which really crippled them in the previous edition. And then in the middle we have 2 Forge Fiends and 1 Mauler Fiend. Both the Forge Fiends have got Hades autocannons and ectoplasm males. And then the Mauler Fiend is, again, just how he comes, slash tendrils, melter gun, and his own claws. So we'll see how it goes today. This is pretty much the army I had in the collection focus, so we will see how it does. I have got a couple other options, but not a lot. I've got a few more Chaos Space Marines, I've got a Hellbrute, but not a lot to add. So this is pretty much my main 2,000 points. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll pass over to John and have a look at his Necrons. So we're going to look at John's Necrons now, see what he's picked from my collection. Again, this is the majority of my collection. There are a few other options, especially a couple of flyers that he's left at home, but he has his reasons. So I'll let him go through the army.
Okay, so today we'll be using a Necron Overlord with a War Scythe and Resurrection Orb. I'm really interested to see how he can buff the units around him, particularly with the new bubbles and the way that this all works and the synergy in the new edition. I'm also using the Diviner, Illuminated Xeris. I knew I'd get there eventually. Not a Necron user usually. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing the way he works and the way he'll buff the units around him. We've got 20-man unit of Necron warriors. I wanted to try the resurrection protocols, reanimation protocols, and just see how we can the bigger unit affects that. Alongside 2 units of immortals with Tesla carbines, 10 men in each. And then we've got 9 of the Canoptic Scarabs. We've got to go for the other big guns, so we've brought the Monolith to see how he plays in the new edition. We've also got the Annihilation Barge, a Transcendent Satan, and we're bringing in the Necron Doom Scythe. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays. I tried to go for a varied force so I could get a really good idea of the way it will work in the new edition.
Yeah, I have to say, the one thing I'm really interested in is the Satan. I think the army's nice. I think you've managed to balance it really nicely. The 20 warriors, like you say, could be really interesting. But the main thing for me is that Satan. He was so unreliable in the previous edition, and nobody took them really. So it could be really interesting to see how this guy gets on today.
For the sake of the game, I've given him the antimatter meteor to see how he deals with the bringing in those mortal wounds.
Cool. Well, they are apparently the big thing, mortal wounds. So
yeah.
We shall see how we get on, guys. We'll deploy and then come back to you after we've done that. Right, so we just finished the deployment. The Necron's finished first, got far less units. So this is how John's deployed. He's got the Annihilation Barge hidden in the corner there. Scarabs holding the flank, hoping to speed up and attack some of the vehicles. You've got a main cluster in the middle of Immortals, Warriors, the Heroes and the Satan. Obviously, as John was saying, to take advantage of the buffers available. And the Immortals are just holding the one flank with Caesarius. If we come over, the Iron Warriors have lined up in effectively a gun line. So we've got some Iron Warriors here, a Vindicator, Forge Fiends with the Warpsmith, just to hopefully keep them going. Some more Warriors in the middle. Predator, Vindicator and Mauler Fiend on this side. We've got a Rhino, which has got some Chaos Space Marines and Huron Ironhide in it. And then we've got the Obliterators and the Chaos Lord over on the far side. Hopefully just looking up the board for the Necrons in the distance. So John finished deploying first, so he currently has first turn. So I'm going to try and seize the initiative off him if I can. If not, he will be going first and we'll come back at the end of his turn. So let's see if we can do it. We've got a 2, so no. So it's John's turn first, so the Necrons will get moving and we'll get back to you at the end of the first turn. So it's the end of the Necron movement phase and they have advanced quite far up the board. The Annihilation Barge and the Scarabs have taken cover here, just a short distance from the Iron Warrior line. So they've moved up quite quick. The main bulk of the army stayed together, but it's still again nearing halfway across the board with the Ruined Imperial statue. And the Monolith has come down on the right flank, so these Iron Warriors over here are going to have to divert a lot of firepower in that direction if they want to avoid being killed by it. Stratagems wise, I forgot to mention them at the start of the game. So John has 6, I have 7, so it's pretty close in that regard. Neither of us have used one yet. So we'll see what damage the Necrons can do in their shooting phase. Okay, so it's the end of the Necron turn. It's been a really good one. So you can see a massive hole in the line here. That's one of the Forge Fiends went down to combine fire mostly from the Necron Warriors and Immortals. The Monolith joined in a little bit at the end.
Gave it the particle whip.
So he finished it off with the particle whip. Monolith's been cool as always, and also got a few wounds in here on the Vindicator as well. A few Marines have gone down here, but they've passed their leadership check, or morale test as it is now. This Vindicator's been nearly blown to hell by the Doom Scythe, which came skimming on over there. Death Ray proving absolutely horrendous. So that'll be interesting to see if he can survive much longer. Movement wise, again, just to reiterate, we've got the Doom Scythe coming around there, and the main battle line advancing up here. And so this is what the board looks like at the end of the Necron's turn 1. The Iron Warriors are really going to fight back. We need some really good firepower this turn, because otherwise another shot at this kind of medium-ish range where the Necrons excel, and that could be, by the looks of it, the end of us. Currently, objective-wise, the Iron Warriors have got one here and one here. The Necrons have got both of theirs as well in the bunker on this building here. So objectives wise it's equal, but it's been a good opening salvo from the Necrons, so we will see what the Iron Warriors can do in response. So it's the end of the movement phase for the Iron Warriors. There hasn't been a lot of it. They pretty much just bunkered down as Iron Warriors tend to do in the face of the Necrons. So we've got the unit in the tower, the Vindicator and the Forge Fiend and the Predator have all turned their gaze towards the Monolith. Obviously we have to finish it off ASAP really, because it's pretty destructive and it's very hard to kill. In the late game you just haven't got enough guns to take it down, so that's the plan. The one real big bit of movement is the Rhino and the Mauler Fiend moved up. The Mauler Fiend's going to assault the Scarabs. He's within, well, he's an inch away, so he'll get in, and then hopefully the unit inside the Rhino will follow next turn as a sort of counter punch, hopefully. The Vindicator here with barely any health left is going to support fire. And finally, the Obliterators with the Chaos Lord helping them out are going to try and take on the Flyer. We need a good turn of shooting here for the Iron Warriors. If we don't, I'm afraid we're in quite a bit of trouble. So we'll see how it goes. We'll get back to you after the end of the turn and we'll let you know how it went. So it's the end of the Iron Warriors' turn, and it has really not gone the way, unfortunately, we hoped it would. The firepower has been really quite poor from what is a very, very shooty army. So we fired, as we said, the Vindicator, the Forge Fiend, and the Predator. It's just about in shot there at the Monolith, and did a grand total of, I think it was 2 wounds, so a grand total of 18 to go, which is a bit painful.
Living Metal 19.
Yes, yeah, Living Metal 19, yes, that's right. So yeah, +1 back in a second. The Obliterators took a couple of wounds off the Doom Scythe. Not convinced they're as good as they used to be, so they might be considered whether they're going to be in my army, although if the Legion rules stay the same, they'll be troops, in which case they will be in my army, because for troops they're pretty great, really. The Morphine did get stuck into combat here in the Scarabs. A few bases had disappeared, but that was actually fire from the Vindicator, who was probably the one unit to do pretty well in the phase. But the Morphine charge didn't actually kill none, not even a wound, which was kind of depressing for him. And then to make it worse, the Scarabs wounded him back and won the combat. So it's the tale of the little guys. I'm afraid the Morphine is not living up to his status as a 30-foot machine of death. But there we go, it happens. So yeah, unfortunately guys, the Iron Warriors have not done what I hoped they would do. They've barely scratched the Necrons. But, you know, the game's not over. If John has a phase like I've just had, I'll lose maybe 1 wound or something here or there, and then I'll shoot him back. So we'll see how it goes. Also, I've still got 2 objectives as well, although John did, of course, secure First Blood, so that is in his points column already. So I've got a little bit of catching up to do. We'll go on to the Necrons turn 2, see what they can do, and we'll see whether they pull further ahead. So the Necrons have finished their movement. The Satans moved up to support the Scarabs, so that could turn into quite an interesting fight, especially as we have got a unit in this Rhino as well that can get out and assault, so that could become quite a messy combat. The Flyers moved up into sort of the Iron Warrior backfield here to try and take on some of the heavy guns here at the back. The Monolith shifted forward as well, which looks cool, so he's coming in for these guys here. Mainly John said to get a particle whip on the Predator. He knows that's the main threat, even though it completely failed last turn, but he knows that's the main threat. And the main infantry line has moved up as well, with the Necron Warriors and Immortals just moving up through the ruins there, keeping cover and just moving forward while holding their own objectives, which obviously they have to as well. So we'll go on to the Necron shooting. It's going to be a crucial turn here, guys. It's to be honest, it's going to be make or break for the Iron Warriors. While the Necrons can probably afford a poor phase, the Iron Warriors certainly can't. So we'll see what happens, and we'll get back to you at the end of the Necrons' turn. Okay, so it's the end of the Necron shooting phase. It's gone pretty well again. John was saying it's not been as destructive, which it hasn't, but it has whittled a lot down. So this Vindicator here is still stuck on 3 wounds, but the Predator's now down to 2, so he's hitting on 5s. The Forge Fiend over here is down to 2, so he might even be hitting on 6s, but certainly 5s. This squad's only got 3 guys, which they had already, but obviously it's still being whittled down. A couple of wounds were taken off the Morphine with the antimatter meteor, I believe it is, yeah, from the Satan, so that was quite cool. So it's only really this Vindicator here that's on 10 wounds that's really on the whole battlefield that's kind of unharmed for the Iron Warriors, apart from the Obliterators. So there's not been as much destruction. Necrons still have a very successful shooting phase, starting to really whittle down the vehicles. There's only 1 combat, so we're going to do that now. So it's the Satan here versus the Satan and the Scarabs versus the Morphine. So the Satan charged, so he goes first. So we'll do him now. So yep.
So hitting on 2s.
Okay. So
it's gone well. And then he's strength 7.
I'm toughness 7.
So winning on 4s. So that's 2 get through. It's AP -4.
AP -4. Okay. So I don't get a save, in fact.
Okay, and
picking up dice, don't even need them.
And it's D6 damage.
Okay. Ah!
That's gone well.
Oh. You poor Mauler fiend. Wow, that's brutal. So the Satans just sort of marched in and slapped him. I was really hoping he might survive a little bit longer. Truly, that is a transcendent Satan. Wow. Don't really know what to say about that.
No, me neither.
Is that normal? Are we working out? Because you got 2 hits out of 4, so that's average, isn't it? Roughly.
Yeah, 2 getting through is about right. So I would have expected.
But then you just rolled
7 wounds.
So I suppose actually shows Satan's quite brutal in combat because actually it's only 3 or 4 wounds above what it should have done.
Yeah,
so it's not crazy.
Very good at killing big things, given that that damage is just going to rack up so quickly. Not many attacks, but a lot of damage.
Yeah. Wow. So the Transcendent Satan shows the Morphine who's boss, and that's the end of the combat phase and the end of the Necron turn. So now it has been a really successful turn again for the Necrons. We were saying they've just whittled down. They don't want Necrons to do and grind people down, but actually now that's turned into another pretty horrendous turn for the Necrons. So we'll see if the Iron Warriors can rally in their turn. It's looking pretty bleak, but we'll give it our best shot. We're Iron Warriors, we don't give up. And we will see how we go. So we'll see you at the end of the movement phase. So it's the end of the movement phase for the Iron Warriors. We're going to try and kill the Satan, we've decided. He smashed the Mauler Fiend, so we're going to try and finish him off. Maybe go for the Flyer if we're successful enough. So the Obliterators have moved out with the Chaos Lord, looking up towards him there. Huron Ironheart himself's got out with his Chaos Space Marines in the view to assault the Satan. Rhino's popped over here to assault the Scarabs, just try and keep them busy for a little while. And everything else has pretty much turned to look at either the Satan or the Flyer. The Warpsmith did try and heal the Forge Fiend for the second turn running, but both times he's done 1 wound back, which that hasn't been fantastic, but there we go. The Marines have stayed where they are on the 2 objectives up here and up here. So we're going to go into the shooting phase now. We're going to let rip as much as we can and hopefully bring down the Satan or the Flyer. If not, these guys will sharpen their blades and hopefully do it in combat. So we'll see you guys in a minute. So we're back at the end of the Iron Warriors shooting phase. Not as effective again, so it's not going as well for them as we'd hoped. The Doom Scythe's been hurt a bit. He's down to 6 wounds, which is okay. It's not too bad. But apart from that, I think we clipped off a couple of Necron warriors, and that was about the sum, unfortunately, of the Iron Warrior shooting. It's the price for all these vehicles being alive. So they're all alive, but they've taken so many wounds between them that all their shooting's really ineffective. The only ones who did any decent damage, I think, were the Obliterators. So not too much going on there. So we've charged in, as you can see, with Huron and his squad to take on the Satan. So we're going to do that on camera, and then we've got the Rhino hopefully running over some Scarabs. So we'll go to the Huron combat first. So I charged in, so I'll activate my unit first. So Huron will attack first. He's got 5 attacks. He's hitting on 2s. He has got a power axe. Or, ooh, the Tyrant's Claw sounds cool. So the Tyrant's Claw is -1 to hit, so you'll be hitting on 3s. So let's see what we can do. So we've got 2 hits, so not quite what we were hoping for. But we are ×2 strength, so we are strength 8. Winning on 3s. Let's see what we can do there. So 1 wound. You've got your invulnerable save, so the minus doesn't really matter. So if you want to take your invulnerable save,
1 invulnerable save.
Yep. So passed. So Huron has done nothing, unfortunately. We've then got some Marines going in. So 4, 5, 6, 7 Marine attacks. So let's go with those. See what we can do. So what's that? 6. So okay, hitting on 3s. So how many have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, they all hit actually, so that's pretty good. It's going to be 5s to wound. So let's go with that. So whoa, 3 wounds. So 3 4+ invulnerables for the Satan. So we failed 2. So what's that put him down to?
He's down at 6 now.
Down at 6, okay. And then finally we've got the Aspiring Champion with his Power Fist. So let's see what he can do. So 1 hit with the -1. and no wounds. So, not done too much there, unfortunately. Kind of sums up the Iron Warriors game so far. So it's the Satan to strike next. So what has he got?
So that's 4 attacks.
Okay.
He's hitting on 2s. So that's gone well.
Cool.
And he is strength 7.
Okay, so who's he picking out?
He's the attacks are allocated by you as to where they're going. So I'm guessing these are going to be munching through Marines rather than hitting Huron.
Sounds good.
So this is wounding on 3s.
Cool.
And the damage doesn't really make a difference, and the armor piercing is 4. So
no saves. So 4 sliced Marines. Wow. So Satan continues his rampage. So took barely a scratch really and killed 4 Marines. So going to have to take in some leadership checks here. What leadership is Huron? He's leadership 9, so he lost by 4, so he can fail, and so can the aspiring champion. So leadership check for Huron. He passes, and a leadership check for the aspiring champion. He also passes. So they stay in there, kind of bravely, really, maybe suicidally, depending on how you want to look at that. So we're going to do the Rhino against the Scarabs in a second, and then we'll wrap up the turn with you in a minute. Okay guys, so we've done the Rhino combat now. The Rhino did no damage, and the Scarabs did 1 wound. So the Rhino got off a little bit lightly. Me and John have basically agreed that it seems like that's going to stay there for the rest of the game. The Rhino just slowly running over Scarabs, and the Scarabs slowly eating the Rhino to death. So that's that. Huron is of course in combat with the Chaos Lord. We're looking at the state of the game, and it's obviously Necron's turn now, so it looks like this could be the last turn maybe, but the Iron Warriors will keep going. I really want this combat to keep going, see if Huron can at least lay some wounds on the Satan, and we'll see how the rest of the army holds up against another round of Necron firepower. So I'll see you after the Necron movement phase. So the Necron Warriors have finished their movement phase. As you can see, the Necron Warriors are moving up past the Imperial statue, kind of moving into Iron Warriors territory, but mainly, as John's pointed out, mainly for rapid fire purposes. The Satan's still in combat over here. The Annihilation Barge is sort of hovering where it is, and the Monolith also is sort of moving in for the kill now, not far away from the Vindicator and the Forge Fiend. So that's the end of the movement phase. We're going to go on to shooting for the Necrons and see if the Iron Warriors can survive. We'll catch up with you in a minute. Cool, so that's the end of the Necron shooting phase. Killed a fair amount. We've got rid of the Predator down here. The Vindicator's gone as well. They were on 5 wounds between them, so it's not too surprising. Thinking, what did the damage now? Was it the Necron Warriors?
We had, the Gorse and the Tesla both did some damage. We also got a little bit out of the Annihilation Barge again.
Yes.
That Chaos Marine squad.
Yeah, the Flyer's flown up there and took some pot shots back as well. The Monoliths weakened down the Vindicator here and finished off the squad on this objective, so I'm no longer holding that. They just about perished. And this this Obliterator actually should be on 2 wounds, so I'll pop them down there on him because he took a couple of wounds as well. So we've gone straight into the combat phase. The Rhino took another wound or 2 and managed to squash a Scarab base. So we're going to go on to the main event really, which is the Satan versus Huron and his buddy with a Power Fist. So it's John's activation, so it's his Satan.
So the Satan's going to 4 attacks, hitting on 2s.
Okay, so
finally,
a couple of misses.
His luck finally breaks.
Yeah.
And then strength 7, so he needs 3s.
So 2. What's the damage on it?
D6.
D6.
So the first one will wipe out the... Well, the question is whether it's enough to kill Huron.
Poor Power Fist man gets slaughtered before he gets to strike. Huron has a 4+ invuln, so he's got 2 wounds left, so we will see whether he can save himself. No, he can't, so on a 2-up, Huron gets his head cut off. He does not. He does not get his head cut off. Well done, Huron. You somehow survived the inevitable, so that's cool. So he gets a 4th wound marker there. So Huron gets to go, which is quite good fun. I mean, he's going to die horribly at some point, but so I've got 5 dice. So I'm going to go with the Tyrant's Claw again. So it's -1 hit, so it's 3 to hit this time. So we've got 2 misses there. So we've got 3 hits, and he's ×2 strength, so strength 8, your toughness
7, so 3.
7 threes. Oh dear. So we've got 1. It's AP -3.
4 pin.
Oh, okay. D3 damage. 1. So strips 1 wound off, but we're not going to get too excited. It's not a victory, I wouldn't say. So Huron lost the combat. And may just run off for his last wound. No,
he can't
lost by
run. Yeah,
he lost by 2, didn't I? So so Huron holds by benefit of luck more than any actual skill, but there we go. So that's the end of the Necron turn. We're actually going to call the game there, guys. I'm going to concede there because I think it's only realistic to do that. I've got a Vindicator and a Warpsmith there, and Huron in there. John's entire army pretty much is intact. We would probably run another turn if we were running out of time, but running out of time today for our gaming. So with that in mind, and the fact that it's pretty one-sided, we're going to call the game there. So well played, John. I'll do a left-handed handshake because, yeah, there we go. We've got the camera. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, the Necrons gave the Iron Warriors a bit of a pounding, but it's still interesting to see the way 8th edition worked. As I said, it's the first game for both of us, so I'm sure there's a few things we did wrong, so please forgive us for that. But comment in the comment section what you think of the armies and what you thought of the game. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. There will be other battle reports coming out hopefully reasonably soon. The next one in the next 3 weeks a month, which will be against John as well, which hopefully his Space Wolves will be ready by then. And I might use my Grey Knights against them in some sort of Imperium versus Imperium paintball match, because we don't really kill each other. Like I say, thanks for watching, guys. The final score would be, hang on, you've got 6 for your objectives, First Blood, you haven't got Slay the Warlord.
Not just yet.
So it'd be 7 points to 3, because I still hold the objective up here. So 7-3 to the Necrons, but much more of a resounding victory than that. Like I say, I'm kind of cutting John off there a little bit because of time constraints. So, yeah, Necrons on their first day out, done very well. Iron Warriors, definite room to improve. But we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. See you later.